Building a winning FTC robot often comes down to solving little problems that can knock other teams out of matches. That's why I had to talk to Team 19049 High Five from Romania.
The cool thing about it is we have two collecting positions.
Their robot is a great example of competitive design. In this video, you're going to see some incredibly creative solutions for issues like electrostatic discharge that might knock other teams out of the competition. I'm Coach Pratt, and having coached national champion FTC teams and multiple Inspire Award winners, I know winning design when I see it, and this team has some. I'm here at the European Premier event for the 2024-25 FTC season Into the Deep. And today we're going to take a look at High Five's robot. We're going to break down some of the ways and interesting ways that they use chains in their robot. We'll take a look at some of their specific methods for preventing electrostatic discharge, or ESD. And we're also going to take a look at some of their awesome automated intake strategies with multiple different positions on their active intake. Here's a quick breakdown of the 2024 FTC season's game Into the Deep. The game is played on a 3x3 meter field with two alliances with two robots on each red and blue alliance respectively. Robots had to go into the center structure to collect plastic rectangular prisms and place them in the respective baskets on the corners of the field for 8 points. Or they could bring a sample to a human. This human adds a special clip to the plastic piece, and then that allows the robot to hang this piece from the center bar for 10 points. In the last stages of the match, the end game, robots can hang from the bottom rung for 15 points, or grab the bottom bar, lift themselves up off the ground, and then grab the top bar and lift themselves up for 30 points. There are more complexities to the game, but that's a rough idea. Now, let's see how this robot managed those challenges. So, tell me about your general strategy this season. What's your strategy?
So basically, right now we are able to do both specimens and samples. So as we have an active intake, basically the cool thing about it is we have two collecting positions.
Oh, that does
so
look cool.
One for when we want to collect samples. So it's faster to collect generally. And one, we call it passive, but it's not really passive. It's like more precise, but a little bit slower.
Okay.
It comes from the above and it just has a weight position. Firstly, it has a weight position when we arrange our chassis over the specific sample. And afterwards, we have a movement which just glides over it.
I'm assuming you use that during autonomous period?
Both autonomous and teleop. Mostly in teleop, we change through all those different position and the collecting modes.
Mm-hmm. Can you show me that double liftover mechanism again? I just really like this chain drive you have going.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And this is using two axons to drive that.
It's this and one.
Yeah. Okay.
Coaxial.
You have a coaxial virtual 4-bar on there. Excellent. And then it looks like you've got a color sensor.
Yes.
Yes, we actually use this color sensor to read what's the color of the sample that we collect, and the distance to the sample. So we are 100% sure that we collect one, and then the color we show on the indicator lights. So we know.
So you can show if it's red, if it's yellow. Oh, that's
and
awesome.
Also, if it's
the opposing alliance
opposing alliance color, it spits out immediately. The sample.
Excellent.
It's some sort of automation.
Excellent. How reliably does that work for you?
It works every time. So
Awesome.
the color, we have a threshold, an array of thresholds, and we check if it's in that range. So it's very precise.
Excellent. That's awesome. And then how does your outtake work? Is it a transfer mechanism? Does it?
For us, the outtake, it's a transfer mechanism for the sample size.
Yep.
We have two transfer modes.
Yep.
First of all, we have one for the samples. It's not quite accurate, but as much as we can do. And then the lift gets raised and we score kind of like this.
Yep.
And another one that picks up the sample in the same way from the intake and spits it out on the other side to be able to be ready to be in the from the field perimeter, the specimens. So we have kind of a crisscross pattern. We intake from this side samples and score them over here. And we intake specimens from this side and score them over there.
Okay.
So when we score specimens, we can also collect from the submersible.
Yep. Now, it looks like your outtake actually has a little kind of 220 on there. What do you got going on there? Or actually, that looks like a 320.
Yeah.
No, it's 220.
220.
Yeah,
So we use this for scoring with the chassis. Like we collect the specimen and score it with the chassis.
We don't have any other. We don't have any other user input or movements. We just drive the chassis into the submersible and it just scores it.
And it looks like you're using an over-center linkage to hold that in place. Am I correct on that? Okay. Are you over-centering it, or is it just...
not necessarily. It's just this was the geometry we achieved.
Yep.
It wasn't something that we kept in mind.
Okay. Yeah, that's super slick. I really like that. And it's very compact. I love the coloring system here too, right? There's something that's to be said about branding and a robot that looks really slick. Yeah. And then you've got some sort of worm gears here. Is that for your hang? Some sort of magic?
For the ascent level, we do the ascent level 2 in about 3 seconds.
Yep. Wow. Okay.
So, these are just very reliable. Almost every match we've done it.
Yep.
No, every match we've done the ascent level 2, and we do it in about... We have to go at about second 7 to be able to do it, and we do it constantly.
And also, if we stop the program, the robot just still hangs, so it doesn't get damaged or anything at all.
I imagine you can't really show me, but because it's a worm drive. But what's the general idea? Is it a level 2 ascent? Is it a level 3 ascent?
Basically, our main problem was that our robot was pretty heavy.
Yeah.
It still is, but for this championship, we managed to get some kilos off.
Yeah. How many kilos is your robot? Do you know?
Around 70.
Oh, yeah,
it's pretty, yes.
Yeah.
Well, we started our season basing more on Go Build a PCs and modular PCs since all of our hardware members were in their first season.
Okay.
So we didn't want to make anything that complex, but for the European premiere event, we wanted to show that we gained experience. So we started doing custom pieces. And we focused on the level 2 ascent because while trying to achieve a level 3, it would cost us much more time and other resources. Plus, in that time, we can score 2 samples, which kind of levels up the score.
Yeah. I love the candy cane section on there.
The
That's
pattern.
fun. Yeah. Yes.
This was our national robot that was...
Yes. Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah. So as you can see here, this is our national robot that is built just of Gobilla, and this robot qualified us here. So we've qualified on the actual ranking, not on the playoffs.
Yep.
And also, these two robots are quite similar.
Yes.
The Outtake is the most different part, but most of the mechanisms we just stuck with them because we were happy of how they worked.
I agree. Now, that would not have been the right time to iterate after your national competition to go right into the European Championships. Yeah, if it works, get better at driver practice. Now, you went with a chain drive for your drivetrain. Why did you choose chain drive as opposed to belts?
So basically, as we said before, most of our members don't have so much experience.
Yeah.
Almost all of us are in our first or second year.
Yes.
And over the years, we've actually had only chain drives. So this was safer for us.
Yeah.
But for next season, we have decided to use a belt. So
how have you found that a 3D printed sprocket has held up on the chains? Have you had to replace that sprocket quite frequently?
No, actually, we never had problems with them. Only when we put first the chain, they are really sturdy and they don't move really good.
Positive.
They are a bit larger than because of 3D printing, but the sprockets on our wheels, I think, are printed last season and were held up to both seasons only on the chassis.
Mm-hmm. Very cool. And are you using 435 RPMs for your main linear slides?
Main linear slides? No.
1150?
The main linear slides, we are using 2 1150s motors.
Okay, you are using 1150.
Yeah. And because we wanted to be as fast as possible.
Yeah. You're probably, 1.3 second up and down per cycle?
Actually, half a second.
Half a second?
No, it's up and down is going to be like a second.
Probably about 1.1, 1.2.
Yeah, about that.
Possibly, but it gets down instantly. So I think more than 0.
I'd be surprised if you were cracking under 0.8.
Yeah,
I'd be really surprised.
Yeah. That's possible.
The
lift goes up and down in 0.8 seconds, but the arm doesn't. because we use motion profiler. So
Yeah.
actually the whole transfer is more like 1.3 seconds.
Can I see the back of the robot? You're
Of
clearly
course.
using
Wait
the
a
pinpoint
second.
in there.
Yeah, we have a pinpoint right.
But it looks like you have the pinpoint wrapped in some sort of
Yes,
aluminum.
aluminum.
Yeah.
We had quite a lot of problems with pinpoint this season, and one of them was electrostatic discharge. So one of our methods was to put this aluminum foil all over it.
Yep.
And since we did that, we didn't really have any more problems.
Also, we've put the pinpoint on a Pilia plate, and we use plastic screws, so it doesn't get ESD.
And another thing the aluminum foil helps us with is that it's really close to all the motors, and it doesn't interfere with
a lot
its
of ESD there.
Yeah.
A lot of ESD. Yeah. Yeah. Super cool. What are you most proud of on this robot? What's quite cool for you?
So I think the most cool thing of our robot is the active intake, because it has 2 positions and it really helps us on playing samples and specimens. Like we can collect with him really easily. Both samples and specimens.
Yeah, and also on the software side, we really are proud of using the analog input of our actions. We've seen that almost nobody uses them, and we've wanted to really try. And they are doing their job. So we know every time where a servo position is based on the fourth wire of the action.
Very cool. Well, thank you for taking the time to share, guys. This is a
Thank you
really
too.
sweet
Thank you.
robot.
Thank you very much.